If you're adding unoptimized images to your website, you're throwing money away, plain and simple. Unoptimized images mean less leads from Google, poorer customer experiences, and ultimately lower conversions. They're one of the biggest causes for slow loading websites, and as we know, every second that your customers have to wait translates to a 7% drop in conversions. And what's worse, for every unoptimized image that you upload, you're wasting your own time and duplicating your effort because to fix it, it's going to require a cleanup project down the line. Fortunately for you, you don't have to worry about this anymore because in this video, I'm going to give you a crash course in everything that you need to know, and I'm going to show you exactly how I handle this for my own website so that you can start to do it right today. All right, before we kick things off, we're going to play a quick game which I like to call, which universal file type should I use? The rules are simple. JPEGs give you smaller file size and PNGs give you transparency. That's it. That's all you need to know. Let's go. First up, logos. Now these generally require transparency, so usually PNG. Photos, no transparency required, so JPEG. Hero image, huge image, no transparency required, so you guessed it, PNG. No, jokes, JPEG. Please do not use PNGs for your hero and banner images. If you are using PNGs for hero and banner images, you are playing the fool, so don't do that. Stop doing that. All right, on to round two, but this time we've got a fresh contender straight out of Google, WebPs. WebPs support transparency just like PNGs, but they also offer much smaller file sizes, even relative to JPEGs, with no loss in quality. I'm talking way smaller. All right, sweet. So let's get at it. This round is going to be super easy. Banner images, photo, banners with rounded edges, logos, bloody everything, WebP. Sweet, I think you get it. Just be aware that the WebPs won't render on older browsers that haven't been updated since before 2021. So if your audience skews to be a little bit older, sticking with JPEGs and PNGs might be a safer choice. Next up, we've got smooth vector graphics or SVGs. Now, while they're not suited for photos, they're perfectly suited for icons and logos, offering infinite scalability with zero quality loss and tiny file sizes. The best part, you can edit their shapes and colors directly inside your site builder. This is particularly useful for making dark mode possible. It can also save you hours and hours of time needing to create multiple different versions of an icon or logo, upload it only to find that it's all pixelated and looks crap, and then you got to export new versions and then upload them all over again only to find that that next round looks crap. Yeah, SVGs allow you to sort of cut through all that bullshit. Moving on to the world of animated images, GIF files are on the way out because Lottie files are completely flipping that whole space on its head. And a couple of honorable mentions for AVIF and HEIF files. Both of them absolutely crush WebPs in terms of compression and quality. They're just not as widely supported yet. They'll probably displace WebPs in a few years, but unless you're working with high-res photographs in the meantime, I wouldn't worry about them. All right, cool. So now that you know what all the main file types are, we need to talk about sizing. There are two main things that you need to know here. The first, knowing what dimensions you're targeting, and second, how to actually do the resizing. Now, before we dive in here, there are a couple of really useful mental models that really made it easier for me to understand image sizing. The first useful mental model to understand is that the standard MacBook is 1440 pixels wide. Even for bozos like me who use obnoxiously large screens, you'll find that the main content of any given website is usually contained inside a container that is maximum about 1440 pixels wide. This is a really useful one to take to the bank because you know that in most cases, your images will never really need to be wider than 1440 pixels. Main exception to this are obviously hero images and full width banners. With these ones, they do span the full width of an obnoxiously large screen. So you're probably going to want to export these in full 4K resolution, which is 3840 pixels by 2160. All right, banner images and section dividers aside, for smaller images, it's relatively simple. If you want an image to take up the full screen, that's the full 1440 pixels. If you want it to take up only half the screen, that's 1440 divided by 2, so 720 pixels. Simples. Now, a quick side note here, high-res screens like MacBook Pros actually have higher pixel density and use 2 times scaling. So for that 720 pixel wide image, Apple would actually recommend you export it at 2 times 720, so 1440 pixels. Honestly though, I'm a MacBook user. I don't really notice a huge difference. There is a slight difference, but I don't think it justifies the extra file size most of the time, especially if you've got lots and lots of images on your screen. Rules of thumb aside, your site builder is going to have specific rules and guidelines that they want you to follow. To find them, just go to Google and type in the current year, the site builder's name, and image guidelines or media optimization. Now, most of you are going to find really clear and concise, pixel perfect guideline for every type of image you could ever want to upload. And some of you are going to find that your site builder has their image guidelines separated over 5 or 6 different support articles. Either way, it's best to just have a simple Word document open so that you can start to sort of jot down some standard operating procedures. And a quick one, do not skip this step. This is a really important step because some of you lucky ducks out there are about to discover that your platform automatically handles the conversion and all the compression and all the resizing. If this is you, go and get yourself some champagne because you just saved yourself 10 steps every time you need to upload an image. All right, now that you understand how big you want your images to be, let's get into the how. How do you actually resize everything? We're going to cover 4 major options. The first being using a design system like Figma or Canva. I'm going to show you how I personally use Figma to do this. Then we're going to get stuck into using photo editing softwares like Photoshop and Lightroom. Then we'll talk about native tools that are built inside every Mac and PC. And I'm going to show you how to do this in a Mac. Sorry in advance to all you PC users, but feel free to skip that section. And then we'll touch briefly on online image resizes. Now, by far the easiest way to do this is to use a design tool like Figma or Canva. I've personally used both and they're both fantastic tools. I think Canva probably solves a few more business problems for the average business. However, even if you decide to go down the Canva route, I would still recommend jumping into the free plan for Figma because it offers a whole lot of tools and features which will allow you to rapidly speed up your workflow if you need to bulk edit and export and convert a lot of images. In fact, when it comes to converting things to WebP, which we'll get into later, there's no comparison at all. Figma just makes this a lot easier. All right, let's get it. Okay, hi, welcome. This is Figma. If this is your first time here, Figma is just like a giant canvas where you can play around. A big problem that a lot of people encounter when they're adding images to their website is that they will resize them, convert them to the right file size, upload them, realize that there's a problem later, and then they've got to come back in and do the bulk editing process later. So what I will typically do is create multiple versions up front if I know that I'm going to be using these images, and Figma makes it super easy. So ahead of time, I've gone and made sure that all of these images are 2000 wide. You can see that they're 2000, 2000, 2000, 2000. You're going to want to make sure that they're all aligned in the same track. And then on a Mac, you're going to want to hold down Option, Shift, drag all of the images. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is hit K, and that brings up this scaling tool over here. I'm going to hit width, 1000, enter, bang. You can see that they're all 1000 wide. For those of you paying super close attention at home, you can see that the file names over here are identical to the 2000 ones. So that can create a problem if you're trying to find them later. You don't want to have to be digging into the metadata to find the image dimensions. So what I will do is right click the file name, hit rename, current name, _ 1000. Sweet. Drag that up. And now I'm just going to repeat that process. Sweet. Now that these are all resized, I'm ready to export them. I'll hide this scale tool, get them ready for export. I'm going to go down here, hit this plus JPEG because there's nothing transparent. Cool. There they are there. Great. Cool. As you can see, all of the images are here and they're all nice and ready for converting. All right, next up, we've got Photoshop and Lightroom. I would not recommend using Photoshop for this because that would be like using a razor and barber scissors to mow your lawn. Lightroom might work for you if your photos are already in there, but please just be aware that looking at some of the support guides for that, the process looks a lot more cumbersome than just using Figma. Also, if you need to quickly just resize a few images, both Mac and Windows offer built-in tools that work just fine. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick crash course in how you can resize everything in Mac. What you're going to want to do is highlight them all, double click, it will open up preview. You're going to want to grab every single image here. Now you're going to want to hit Tools, Adjust Size, 1000, Save. Simples. Now, there are also plenty of online image resizing tools that you can use. I don't personally use any of them, so I can't really recommend any in particular, but if you jump to Google, you should be able to just find some in there. All right, now let's get into the stuff that I actually created this video to show you about. All of the tools and processes that I've used to compress and convert images for my business since I became a web developer. All right, so I kicked off using Optimizilla, aka Image Compressor. This is a fantastic and reliable tool which allows you to compress hundreds of JPEGs and PNGs every single day in batches of 20. Unfortunately though, it doesn't support WebPs, which led me towards number 2, WebP Cloud Converter by Cloud Convert. Now this is an excellent solution for small runs of WebP exports, but you're limited to 25 daily conversions on the free plan. So assuming that paying isn't really an option for you, you can get around this with a VPN, but it's just a little bit slow and cumbersome. And that's what led me towards option 3, ChatGPT-based image converters. If you pay for ChatGPT, you can navigate to the GPT section and navigate through their wide range of image converters, including WebP converters. Pro tip here, you don't need to upload individual images. Batch your images up in a zip file of say 20 to 40 and upload them to the GPT to convert en masse. All right, so let's just take a quick pause here because the previous 3 steps, they all started off with the same assumption that you have to start off by exporting everything to a PNG and JPEG first and then convert to a WebP later. And this will be the case for you if you use a tool like Canva. However, if you're open to using Figma, there's a better way. You can just export things out of Figma straight into WebP and save yourself like 50 steps. All right, hey, and welcome back to Figma. You'll recognize this screen from where we were before, except last time we were here, we came down here and we grabbed all the images and we exported them in JPEG and or PNG. Currently, you can't export things to WebP in Figma. Hopefully they bring it in future. That's gonna save a lot of people a lot of time. But in the meantime, you're gonna have to rely on a plugin. So if you click this little button down here, this opens up plugins. You can search for plugins. I'm currently using this one, Image Compressor. Listen, I'm apprehensive to actually recommend this particular plugin because by the time you're watching it, I can't guarantee you that it will be free. Maybe it will be a paid plugin. There might be better plugins on the market, but for the moment, this one's working absolutely fine. And I haven't encountered any limitations with it just yet. So click on that and it's pretty simple. I'm going to select WebP. I'm going to set the quality to 90% just because I find that often this can shave off a couple hundred kilobytes. And now with all of these images selected, I'm going to hit add to queue, scroll down, convert. It's going to save them to a zip file. Then you're going to want to just unpack the zip file. Cool. And as you can see, now you've got a whole bunch of really pretty WebPs. Okay, sweet. At this point, you've exported and compressed all of your photos into the right file size and they're really small. The final step here is to upload them to your website and add alt text. Please, for the love of God, Google will penalize you, meaning less traffic if you don't add alt text. Also, in America, businesses are already starting to cop $10,000 fines for violating accessibility standards. Oh yeah, also it's just the right thing to do. Sure, it's a little cumbersome, but ultimately it means that more people are going to be able to visit your website, which is ultimately a good thing. All right, sweet, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you've got questions, other suggestions for ways that I can convert images, please throw them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you want more content like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and you won't miss what's next. Whether you're a solopreneur, a project manager, or a small business owner, I'm here to help you avoid all the that I've made in my business and to break down all of the tools and digital strategies that I use into digestible chunks that can save you time and money. More videos coming soon. See you in the next one.